So we've been discussing today what we see the implications of these measures would be on our ability to continue to manage resistance to pesticides in major pests and diseases of EU agriculture. And on that basis to formulate some conclusions in relation to that likely impact and to formulate some recommendations which will shortly this evening some of us will be passing on to the Slovenian Minister of Agriculture. So in essence, that's what I want to do. The key message we want to come out of our workshop today is that we want to reinforce the message, a very clear message, and it's shown on this slide. Reliance on just one weapon is extremely risky. It will almost certainly result in resistance developing in due course to that particular weapon. We have to maintain what's variously being called an armoury or a toolbox of options for controlling the key pests and diseases we have to contend with. And really, only diversity will win the battle, and whatever we talk about in terms of further restrictions on pesticide approvals in the EU has to be done in the light of what it's likely to mean in terms of our ability to continue to contain pests and diseases, our ability to continue to grow key crops profitably, economically within Europe and competitively with the rest of the world. Now, we have, as a consequence of our discussions, produced a short document called the Declaration of Ljubljana. But there are two key recommendations we make, and one is a plea to all of those involved at the level of the EU in deciding whether or not to approve these new recommendations for reforms, to think very, very carefully about the implications in terms of resistance management. And we really feel that no decision should be made without a really detailed scientific review of the implications, and resistance specialists should be included in those discussions, and they've tended not to be so far. The other is we're making a plea that decisions on the approval of things like pesticides in the EU should continue as they are now to be based on very scientific risk assessment based criteria, rather than responding to what we see as rather arbitrary decisions in terms of hazards.